Welcome to the Wellbeing Invitation, an occupational therapy inspired atelier. I had intended for this to be a live space, but unfortunately there is some really loud roadworks going on outside of my house, and it sounds like somebody's mining the village. So sadly, I'm having to record the session. So my apologies for those who intended to enjoy and be part of the live group. I'm doing my best to encompass the energy that you've been sharing with me over the month about the activities that you've been engaging in and how you've been finding it. So let's begin. I'm going to go through some slides to start with. So this was the landing page for the Wellbeing Invitation, where all of your resources were. Now I'm going to go into a bit of detail about what my intention was around the activities and some of the evidence behind some of the activities as to why they can have an impact on our general health and well-being. So how we spend our moments is how we spend our days, which in turn is how we will live our lives. So this is an occupational therapy inspired workshop. So I'm going to begin with an introduction to the session, and then we're going to move through the themes of on listening, on looking, on gratitude, and then some space for reflections, observation, and close. Now, obviously, we're not able to share together in the group, so do let me know how you get on with the reflections if you feel comfortable. It's absolutely not necessary either. Just taking part is enough. So my name's Josephine, and I'm an occupational therapist. I've been qualified, I've been practicing for 22 years now. Now, occupational therapy uses occupation, meaning activities, as the means in therapy. So this can be anything, absolutely anything that you do, meaning the therapeutic use of occupation is the intervention, with the knowledge that tailored and purposefully chosen occupations are therapeutic and have the potential to heal in themselves. So a quote that inspired me around the Wellbeing Atelier is that I'm going to make everything around me beautiful, and that will be my life. So Elsie de Wolf is she was a French interior designer. I think she was around in the 20s. Je vais rendre tout ce que mon torse beau, ce sera ma vie. Yeah. And that doesn't just mean the objects around us. For me, as an occupational therapist, that means also the activities that we're engaging in. We can turn the lens of our attention towards the beauty that surrounds us, that's available to us. So the aim of the atelier was to explore over the month of June, adding some simple activities that can be added to our routines that promote and enhance well-being. So listening to Antonín Dvořák, Symphony in E minor, exploring True to Nature, and which was an exhibition. It's touring the world. It's currently in Cambridge. The open air painting in Europe between 1780 and 1870, and then a Cultivating Gratitude activity. So we're going to go through each of those tasks, those activities, and explore the science behind why they are helpful for our well-being. So the first activity task that I found was to listen to a piece of music. So to begin with, we're going to listen to a piece of music together. So get yourself comfortable. And I'm going to play this piece of music. You know what? That's not going to work. That's a shame. Okay, so you'll have to listen to that in your own time again. Perhaps for the pause to journal, I'm going to prompt in a minute. So on listening, Antonín Leopold Dvořák was born in 1841 and then he died in 1904. He was a Czech composer of romantic music who employed the idioms and melodies of the folk music of Moravia and his native Bohemia. This piece that I chose is the Serenade for Strings, which consists of 5 movements of around 5 minutes each, which I chose specifically so that you would be able to find 5 minutes to simply listen to each piece. Or if you had the luxury of half an hour, you could sit and listen to a piece of music for half an hour. So you're encouraged to simply close your eyes and listen, resting in stillness. However, you may have found that you needed to engage in an activity at the same time, such as drawing or doodling, or knitting, or sewing, or whatever, that simply sitting still is challenging. So some other bits of information about him, that he was popular in America as he was in Europe, in fact, probably more popular in America. And he made a contribution to classical music during the second half of the 19th century, with his most noteworthy projects being the New World Symphony. 10 facts about him. He was highly interested in folk music, which I already mentioned, not only his native Czechoslovakia, but also African-American and native folk music. He came from a humble background. His father was an innkeeper and a builder. His first compositions were overlooked, and it was Johann Brahms, who took notice of him and sort of championed him. He loved trains, and he had 9 children, 3 of which died in infancy. Different times. His most famous works were written in America, and he had agoraphobia, which meant he missed his debut performance of the New World Symphony. Some little facts about him. So looking at some of the scientific studies conducted recently, classical music does have benefits. It can stimulate the brain, it can improve sleep, it can reduce stress, and it can also strengthen the immune system. So number 1, it makes your brain work better. I've got the links to this study, or a piece that was written that's got all of these links in. So if you want the handouts, let me know. Okay, so it makes your brain work better. Brain activity is improved when listening to music and arousing stimuli. 2, it helps people with dementia. So it helps people with dementia to regain memories and enormously improve the quality of their life. It can help you sleep better. So soothing classical music is better than verbal stimuli for the purposes of relaxing the body and mind before sleep. So choosing to listen to classical music over an audiobook, if that's what you use, could be something to have a go with to help you sleep better. It can calm you down when driving. So soothing effects of music decrease incidences of road rage, which is always good, therefore, and accidents. It can help reduce pain. So it can help to tune out the pain by increasing activity in the brain's reward center, thereby alleviating the sensations of pain. It can help you express your emotions. Listening to classical music helps you express your emotions in unique ways. It can help blood pressure. Many other classical pieces, so this was referring to a piece by Beethoven. Sorry, I've not edited that very well. So many classical music pieces are in natural sync with our own body's natural rhythm, and that helps to keep blood pressure at optimum levels. And then finally, it helps people enjoy their food more and eat less. Soft classical music combined with dim lighting were used in this study, and it showed that people enjoyed their food a little bit more and they chose to eat less of it. So I'd be really interested to know how you how did you get on? Were you able to make time to listen to the full piece, or did you break it down into smaller sections? Did you enjoy the piece first time round, or did it take a few listens? Which was your favourite section? What instruments did you notice? Oh, I should have done a question mark there. I'm not a perfectionist. You may have gathered that if you've made it this far into the video. Did it impact on your mood? And what was the overall impact of this activity? Is this something you'll continue? So as we're not going to go into a group, I'm going to waffle around my own experience and then invite you to pause and have a think about your own, like what you might have said to me as a response. Do you agree or not agree with me? There's no right or wrong way of doing any of these, and you can absolutely skip any of the questions. So were you able to make time to listen to the full piece, or did you break it down into smaller sections? So for me, I broke it down into smaller sections and listened to the same piece over. I tried to do kind of 5 days with each one. And then I think I listened to it all the way through a few times, sort of like having it on in the background, working away. And then as I got more familiar with the pieces, so the second one was my favorite, the and yeah, you get the drift if you've listened to the piece of music. That's the most famous one, and I do just love that. That makes me want to dance around. But then as I was listening to it over and over, the first one I really loved. I found it very calming and perhaps a bit more relaxing, whereas the second part I found really more like emotional, brought out my dramatic side. I might sort of want to be a ballerina type thing. So also because I was putting the stories on Instagram, I found that I was learning the music in a little bit more detail, because I had to cut every 15 seconds and then write my words. So that kind of helped me get familiar with the piece as well, perhaps a little bit irritating at times. I've said what my favorite section was. So I think 1 and 2 were my absolute favorites, and then the fifth one, but all in one, beautiful as well. What instruments did you notice? Strings mainly, but just like, I mean, I just think if I was in a theatre, if I could be listening to a live orchestra play that would be so moving. And I think half an hour is a nice amount of time to be sitting listening to a piece of music. Did it impact on your mood? Yes, I found it soothing. I found it easy to have on in the background while I was working as well. And it sort of set an intention. I think one morning I put it on and had a cup of coffee and before kind of getting on with my day, it felt like it was a really kind of decadent way of starting the day, of just sitting and listening quietly to music. And then when the children came down and the music was playing, it felt like it was modeling some positive ways of starting the day, and introducing them to some classical music, which I don't listen to as much as modern music that to my and my husband's taste. So yeah, it felt like it is something that I will continue. Was the overall impact of this activity is something I will continue? Yes, definitely. I think setting a piece of music was really helpful to just really study one piece of music as well, and something that I will definitely be doing. Okay, so the invitation now is that you pause the video for a few minutes and reflect on those questions, perhaps writing down your responses, maybe emailing me if that helps it feel more purposeful. And I would love to know. I'd love to know how you get on. I've had a few interactions with people via Instagram, which has been lovely, and Facebook. But yes, a little email of how you found that would be, well, I'd love that. I'd be really interested to know, but not absolutely no obligation. Okay, you could, yeah, and that's it. Okay, so you could play the piece while writing, and we were going to be doing that live in the reflective space. So yeah, put the music on and write. You don't need to take half an hour, like a few minutes. Okay. So then the second invitation was to look. So I chose an exhibition, True to Nature Open Air Painting in Europe, 1780 to 1870. I didn't know anything about this piece at all. I think I saw something about it in Cambridge, but it had been in Washington and they had done an online gallery tour. So I thought, well, if anybody's in England and can go to Cambridge, lovely. But then for the rest of us, that we can have a look around the exhibition thanks to the Washington Gallery. So I thought I'll just go through some of the paintings that were there. So this exhibition had more than 100 oil sketches where you'll find storm-torn skies, limpid rock pools, the dappled shade of a tree canopy, or the awe-inspiring sight of an erupting volcano, featuring works by artists including John Constable, Jean-Baptiste Camille Corot, Turner, Edgar Degas, Louise Josephine Sarrasin de Belmont, what a fabulous name, and witness these painters' encounters with nature. So I'm just going to go through a little selection, and I'm going to be quiet. So the invitation is to simply look at these paintings for 30 seconds per painting, around that anyway. So why look at art? We hear a lot about why we should do art, why we should be doing arty things. And I think sometimes that can be a bit daunting. So that's why I introduced like going to see a gallery. And obviously it's not the same as being able to see it in real life. And it was certainly, I didn't particularly enjoy the online tour, but we can talk about that in a minute. So doing a little bit of researching around, I found some research from the UK, the United Kingdom. The All-Party Parliamentary Group on Arts, Health and Wellbeing published an Arts, Health and Wellbeing report in 2017, and it's been updated. There's more update versions, but from this article, summarising the findings of 2 years' worth of research, the report demonstrates that visual art improves psychological and physical well-being in a number of ways. So obviously we visited an art gallery, but what they were talking about is that medical professionals are now prescribing art in various forms as a means of illness prevention. Arts on Prescription, which I just think sounds fantastic, is a project backed by Arts Council England and has shown that Great British consultation rates dropped by 37% and hospital admissions decreased by 27% when people actively attend galleries and museums. Obviously, we weren't able to do that, but I found looking through those pictures with those sort of 30 seconds per slide calming, and then each one surprised and delighted me. You could almost hear the waves crashing. The report calls for a change in the culture of our healthcare, claiming that the UK has not yet realised the potential art has to aid medical practices. So other findings followed suit. So in 2006, the Department of Health, so this was obviously a bit earlier, but there are other findings. The Department of Health Working Group on Arts and Health discovered that factors beyond well-being, such as length of stay in hospital and pain tolerance, were significantly reduced by the presence of landscape paintings in hospitals. Art has a powerful impact on an environment and by extension on our experience of that environment. Humanizing and beautifying an environment has the effect of reducing anxiety and depression while improving general happiness and productivity. So environment is a big factor within occupational therapy, and this was one of the reasons why I wanted to include this as a task. So some of the questions to be thinking about: were you able to make time to look at the exhibition online, or perhaps you were lucky in real life, you were lucky enough to go? So I wasn't lucky enough to go. I did it online. I found the tour a bit frustrating. I think what I would have preferred, and I might do this myself because I might try and go to Cambridge to see it when I'm back in the UK this summer, is just a video of somebody going around, not talking, just so you could hear the footsteps and like the quiet as people sort of talk about their experiences of it. And that's kind of what was missing for me from that. And I found it sort of frustrating zooming around. It was a lot easier on a tablet than it was on a computer. But I did find the time to do it. I don't know if I'd have done that outside of this invitation. I don't know if I'd have made that level of investment of my time. So that sense of accountability of being part of a group, of this group, even though we're not meeting in real life. And I really enjoyed listening to the lectures, even that really quick curators go through of the paintings on the Washington site. So if you haven't seen that, do go back and have a look. How did you find it? Beautiful. I love that kind of art. I'm always impressed by art like that because I can't do it myself. And the hours that people would have spent and the training and the studying and their eye for the colors and the luminosity, and incredible. Did you enjoy the art? Yes, I did. Which was your favorite piece? Probably that constable sky one towards the end that I put in, but also the woods. And I found the trees very calming, all those greens. Did looking at the pictures impact on your mood? Yeah, like I was thinking as I was looking through those pictures, I could really feel like my heart rate sort of slow, like that my parasympathetic nervous system was definitely activated. Will I continue to do that? Online, I'm not so sure that I would do that. I might look for YouTube videos of art gallery tours, or watch documentaries of an art gallery, like with curators. I think that's probably more my thing than fiddling about on the internet. Sort of more directed, guided by a professional. I prefer. But going to real art galleries, definitely. I love going to them. Went to a Proust one in Paris at the weekend, and it was great. Right, my cup of tea. Now, in terms of environment, I wanted you to have a think. Could you add more art into your spaces? Perhaps there might be a print that you could order, or even print off yourself on your computer that you could have in your spaces, noting the impact that it can have on health and well-being that was discovered within that study. So thinking about your space and the art that you have around you. So an invitation to pause the video for a few minutes to reflect on the questions, perhaps write down the responses. I would really love to know how you found it. And it can feel more purposeful knowing that someone's going to read it, or not, if that's not your cup of tea, don't worry. But it would be most welcome in my inbox. So pressing pause before moving on to the next stage. So cultivating gratitude. Gratitude is a key to happiness. When we're feeling grateful, our body calms and we feel at peace in all realms of our lives. There is a basic principle in psychology called reciprocal inhibition. We can't feel two contradicting states at once. Apparently, it's impossible to feel grateful and stressed at the same time. One of the best parts about gratitude is that it's easy to access in very little time. So one of the reasons why I introduced this as a task is that it can be done very quickly. So it doesn't need to be like a formal practice. And when we're in times of stress, if we can remove ourselves for 6 seconds, this allows the mind to step out of the cascade of catastrophic thinking. So it means that we can step away from ourselves, sort of like if there's a waterfall, you can, when you're in the chaos, you stick your head in it. When you're stepping out of it, you're observing it. So it's still there, it's just you're not getting completely soaking wet and cold and overwhelmed. So if you can do something for 6 seconds, step out of it, then you can influence your physiological response to a stressful situation. And one of the ways is to practice gratitude. So a quick task would be thinking of one object that you're grateful for, one moment, and then one person or one living being that you're grateful for. So in a stressful situation, you get a text message that has made you feel uncomfortable. You can press pause on that. You don't need to reply to that straight away, and you can go, okay, one object that I'm grateful for, my fountain pen. I'm really grateful for that because I love writing with a fountain pen. A moment that you're grateful for. I tried a new tea this morning. It was really delicious, really like that. And then a living being that you're grateful for. Not picking anything too juicy here. A basil plant is coming into flower that I grew from a seedling. It's taken about 4 months. So I'm really grateful that I was able to be part of that and keep it alive with a bit of help from other people watering it there. So in that way, in that kind of dialogue, you switch to a different part of your brain. And then you can come back to that text message and go, oh, I don't know really what to say to that. But it's just giving you that sort of pause button. So that was one of the tasks. Writing lists. So I did this a few times myself. mainly using my Instagram account as a way of some of the things that I'm grateful for, and to feel a bit of intention. And then I'd add a bit of the Dvořák music to the background. And making some time in your day for a short guided meditation of just under 10 minutes, which I linked in the page. So if you were able to give that a go, let me know. So why? To activate our parasympathetic nervous system and work the neural pathways of our brain to widen our lens of our experience whilst we're here on this planet for this short time. Our natural tendency is to focus on the negative, and that is protective. That protects us from harm. But within our modern life, we don't need to worry about lions, tigers, and bears, but this is still switched on to protect us. So we're widening that lens to the things that we're grateful for as a way of enhancing our experiences, maintaining and developing our well-being. Practicing techniques like these regularly allow us in moments of stress to have a resource at our fingertips to pause, step out of the cascading waterfall of thoughts, and give us some space before responding. So I'm going to guide us through a gratitude practice, a short gratitude practice. So setting yourself up in a sitting position. An invitation to close your eyes. I always have to close my eyes when I'm guiding meditations, if you haven't noticed. So just taking a moment to arrive, to settle, feel the contact that your body is making with the earth, and setting yourself up in a posture that is dignified and honors this vessel that carries us around and has got us to be where we are today. As you are, you don't need to change anything. There's no right or wrong way of doing this practice. Just bringing your attention to your breath, following the flow of your in-breath, not changing the rhythm, simply allowing your breath to breathe itself. And following my instructions only if they feel right for you. That's really important. We're going to do a formal version of that quick practice. Moments of stress. We're going to make this a formal practice. So bringing into your mind's eye an object that you are grateful for. Noticing how the mind wanders, finds stories, gets lost, tries to pick another object. No, not that object, another object. So just pick one and settle in. So whilst holding this object that you're grateful for in your mind's eye, I want you to drop into the felt sensations within your body. So you might feel warmth or coolness, tingling, lightness, heaviness. There might be shapes, colours, textures within your body as you explore what it is to hold in your mind's eye an object that you are grateful for. Dropping into our bodies in this way, we learn to pay attention to them, to listen, to learn the language that often goes so ignored. The cues for hunger, tiredness, and needing the toilet that get pushed away. So settling into your body and what you notice about being grateful for an object. Where do you notice it in your body? And then moving on from our object, I want you to bring into your mind's eye a moment that you're grateful for. A nice cup of tea. An email from a friend. A project that's finished. Something that the laundry's done, or some moment, recent, you're grateful for. And dropping into the felt sensation within your body of holding this moment that you're grateful for within your body. What do you notice? Is it in your belly, in your hands, in your face, in your shoulders? Or is the felt sensation of being grateful? Learning to listen. Dropping into your body. Paying attention. And then moving your attention away from this moment and bringing your attention to a person or a living being that you're grateful for. It could be a pet, a small child, it could be a plant, a bird, it could be a best friend, it could be the milkman. Just picking one person, nobody too juicy with complicated backstories, somebody that is easy to bring to mind that you're grateful for. And holding them in your mind's eye, an invitation to drop into the felt sensation of this gratitude. What is gratitude? This emotion. This feeling, where do you notice it in the body? The shapes, the colors, the textures, the movements. And then moving your attention back to your breath, breathing in and breathing out. And then expanding your awareness of the breath to include all of your body as you sit here and breathe. And taking the time out of your busy life to watch this video. Practice this meditation. Spend time with me. And then opening your eyes. If you haven't meditated before, bravo. It's not easy sitting still with ourselves. So, were you able to make time to practice this exercise? If so, how did you do this? How were you disciplined around that? If not, why not? What came up for you? What was the overall impact of this activity for you over the month? And is this something that you'll continue with? So again, an invitation to pause the video for a few minutes, reflect on the questions, and you can write them down in an email to me. You've already gathered that I'd love to hear from you. I'm pressing pause now to reflect on your experience of that practice. And that cultivating gratitude exercises of June. So to close, a well-being invitation. Again, how we spend our moments is how we spend our days, which in turn is how we will live our lives. In taking part in this invitation, you have taken an active step in taking care of your own health and well-being. Hopefully there have been some things that you have been able to take away with you, giving you some ideas about how you could be spending some moments of your day. So we looked at on listening, on looking, and on gratitude. The next step. What will you be taking from this month? What's served you? What didn't serve you? Do reach out and let me know how you find things. I hope this invitation has nourished and inspired you, perhaps challenged you, may not have been as pleasant as you'd hoped or as interesting as you'd hoped. We are going to be going forward with another Wellbeing Invitation for July, and I'll introduce some different activities. So watch this space. So it's not easy finding time to do some of these activities. We are used to 15-second sound bites of information. We are used to 140 words to explain things. So part of cultivating our attention in this way is to support us developing our concentration and all manner of physiological and physical and psychological well-being ideas. So I hope that you have taken something from this Wellbeing Invitation, and I look forward to carrying on this journey with you. I certainly found it helpful to be part of a group of people, knowing that I had this at the end of the month, that sense of accountability, that I have been frittering and wasting time and feeling annoyed with myself, and that in taking part in this Wellbeing Atelier Invitation, for me, I've seen some positive side effects. I now make the time to have afternoon tea, cup of tea at 4 o'clock with a book before leaving the house to pick up the children or to do a piece of work, carving out that space, being more intentional, and I feel enriched and nourished by the activities I've taken part in. And I may not continue to do all of them. I think the art gallery online just isn't the same when you can't see the textures of the paint and things, but certainly the gratitude and the listening to classical music and learning about the composer as well. Learning about the people who produce the art is interesting for me. I like to know people's stories, and that's why I do the work that I do. So thank you for joining me on this occupational therapy journey, and do reach out, and please, I would love to hear from you if you have taken part. I've had little bits from people about how they're finding it, and yeah, do let me know. I'll leave any links on my page to anything that I've added that wasn't in the original invitation. So the links to the articles I've referenced. Thank you for joining me. Have a lovely weekend and week.